So we looked at Lich, now we're going to take a look at RHYA. That is right, the green best out of the Eye of Midnight Suns characters, I'd say meta RHYA. The green meta RHYA, there we go, yeah, that works out. So, RHYA typically you can look at in a YAMI perspective. Of course, the key thing about that character is, of course, he is stealing other people's buffs, right? He's a bit of a copycat. Straight off the bat, one thing which I will say, if depending on how your YAMI is built, being red YAMI, or blue YAMI, whichever one works actually, to be honest. If you want to copy their gear over to RHYA, I'm just saying, you can do so. It's an option. Depends on if you're eager to build him or if you're just lazy and you're like, you know what, I've got YAMI's gear set, I'll just transfer between the two, bada bing, bada boom. Then you're pretty much good to go. Accessory wise, you want to keep more in the line of crit rate. Just kind of buffing that up, and then of course the second skill the necklace I typically just go for defense as per usual. For the substats for accessories and gears, what you want to aim for is attack, crit rate, crit damage, and then accuracy. So it's going to be 4, but as long as you get the 3, you'll be absolutely fine. So it's attack, crit rate, crit damage, accuracy. Those are going to be the main substats that you're realistically looking for when building your RHYA. Now I already have my build for RHYA, so I'm just going to show you guys what it is. Now again, he's an attacker, he's getting extra attacks off, following through, able to get buffs, steel buffs, so of course you're going to be capitalizing on that. But essentially this is kind of my RHYA build, which most will probably tend to use because, well, I still need to fix up on the substats, but I'm just giving you guys just a rough idea. I still need to build them up because I still need to do the whole evolution floor, but just to give you guys an idea, so it's going to be double attack, and then you're going to give him that crit rate buff. I mean, as you guys can see, I am slowly working on substats on some of his gears. We'll get there, but obviously other better characters I need to focus on. Okay, and then of course, so we've got the double attack, double crit, and then we're going to double up on the crit damage. Now, I mean, some people might want to ease up on the... Do I not have the attack? Hold on a minute, I do. Wait, I've not leveled... I swear I've leveled it up. Am I tripping? Alright, well, that's something I gotta do. And it's got magic attack, which is unacceptable, so I'll have to change that. But essentially, this is kind of how the build is going to work. And again, as I aforementioned, with that last slot of gear, you're going to fall in line with dropping in. So, I mean, just to give you guys an example, let's just kind of finish it out. I'll just throw in a regular attack right there. So, boom, basically, it'll be like that. And then the substats on this, I'll try and clear it up to keep the attack, throw in crit rate, crit damage. And if I want to go the extra mile, you know, get the perfect crit set. Gear set, sorry. Accuracy, of course. But essentially, that's how it's going to work, right? And so this is going to be your initial build, and then going on with your accessories, it just depends on what you can give for him. But this is going to be the most optimal build for RHYA, of course. He's just going to be your regular attacker, being able to do extra attacks, feeding off from buffs from enemies as well as characters. I mean, well, more likely to be Lich, because of course if you can get that combination, that's going to be insane. Obviously he can steal from Lich, aka that crit rate boost is coming in, so he, you know, kind of feeding more to the damage output for RHYA could be very beneficial. Hence why you might, I mean, you can switch up, I guess, the crit rate if you want to, and then double up on the attack, but I would suggest keep the crit rate. I would genuinely suggest to keep the crit rate. I have done my test by having double attack and crit damage. I mean, it kind of works out well, but I found more success having crit rate, crit damage, and attack. So it's fairly simple with RHYA, how you want to build him. Like I aforementioned, you know, if you know, I understand working on gears does take a lot of resources and a lot of time, especially with where global is at right now. I know some people might be trucking along in a slow manner, and so like I said, if your YAMI's gear is built up, you can make that trade-off, right? You can transfer your YAMI's gear because it's going to work just as fine. Like I said, he's basically a YAMI copycat. It's just with this RHYA, he's a little bit more, in my opinion, a little bit more crazier, and has longevity, and is crazy for PvE and PvP. So there's that. And he's the green meta. Okay, there's a lot I could say about him, but that is just kind of like going to be the main concept of the best optimal build for this RHYA. So let me just get the crit rate. Oh no, let's do this right. Again, final gear set. Just feed into giving him more damage. That would be the best bet. But this is gear set wise, this is pretty much what you're going to be shooting for, where you're going to be aiming for. So when it comes to the talent tree, I'm just going to keep it straight. With RHYA, there's a lot for you to choose from. You got a crit rate, which boosts you all the way to 12.5, which is very nice. You got the attack of 7%. You got the damage of 5%. You've got the crit damage of 10%, and then of course you've got where he does more damage. Attacking bosses. Like, all of these are absolutely fantastic for RHYA himself. I mean, if you want to resort to doubling up on his attack buff as well as his damage dealt, you can do so. I found more success from damage dealt plus the crit damage, of course. That was obviously that combination is stupidly nice with RHYA if you have built him up nicely, because then of course some nuke numbers could be produced, especially when the crit does come in, so giving them that helping hand. These two is what I would advise. I mean, that's what you're pretty much done with Lich, so you can do that, but I'm letting you guys know that there's a lot you can play around with depending on the situation and the scenario that you're in with RHYA. So obviously it's a lot of resources to be done. I would still focus on the crit damage as well as the damage dealt. However, once you get time to and you're capable enough and you're able to, if you can open up the rest, you can start switching about and yeah, having fun with it. So a lot to do with RHYA himself. That's why that's why he's a fantastic green meta character, and he's got so much longevity and value for your currency, or your premium currency, that is. And then of course keeping it nice and easy with the defense structure, endurance, and increased defense. And then with the support play, I think I would honestly go for the pen and pen plus accuracy, and then obviously the cooldown. If you're lucky with that cooldown on RHYA, then you can really stack up on essentially stealing the enemy's buffs, which is obviously picture perfect, especially with the amount of buffs that are going around right now. And then I mean, here's the thing. I know some people might want to opt out to having that resistance and the SP buff. This is also a combination which you can really have if you choose to, if you want to, right? It's because of course getting that ultimate with the extra attack, you know, RHYA's ultimate is not to be slept on his own. It's a very good single attack. So if you want to opt out to using these two, that's, you know, you're more than welcome to. But this is something that I've used, that I've tested with, and hence why I recommend it. So there's that. But again, you can opt out to having damage resistance and swiftness if you would like. It's an open book. It's an open book. And then lastly, it's time for the skill pages. So once again, obviously with Lich and RHYA being on the same banner, I mean, there's a lot to be gained. Obviously, if you do get RHYA's Greymoor, then you can resort to buffing up the second skill to not only copying, obviously hence why you want, you know, make sure your accuracy is ready to rock and roll, but removes 2 buffs of course, so that's going to be extremely handy. Obviously at the start of the turn, if there is at least 3 buffs affecting you, gain 30 to 60% increased accuracy for 1 turn. Now I will admit there have been times where I'm just like, you know what, keep your buffs, keep your passive, give me damage. And realistically, because of where I'm at right now, I tend to give him the Breath of Darkness. Mine's maxed out, so I tend to just give him this, since obviously the other Greymoors that can also provide maxed out damage, aka Fana, I don't have complete dupe for, and this is more of a free to play manner of getting maxed out, so that's what I tend to go with. But essentially it's going to be more on the damage side of things. I mean, you guys are aware, if you've got Fana's Greymoor, then you can resort to that, of course, that's an option. If you do manage to get Lich's Greymoor, then of course you can quite easily fit that in there, because it gives you damage and crit rate, which is very nice. You don't need to worry about Asta. I mean, if you want to add in Asta, you can do so, but I would say just focus on increased damage. So for Gorleon is going to be another option, of course. If you want to apply C7 Pride, I mean, it's there, but I mean, again, as aforementioned, it's going to be more on the damage boost. Obviously, like I said, he's got the first skill as YAMI's doing AoE, so you can actually feed off from Luck's skill page, which is pretty nice. Yeah, I mean, in this case, because of course, from when I worded it from Lich's perspective, I said more over skill 2 than I did skill 1, but I think I'd put Luck over Gorsh's skill page, just of the attack itself. Again, if you've done the William and Yami combination, then you know what I'm talking about. You know, it's pretty, and of course, I forgot his name, RHYA, there we go. RHYA's damage can build up pretty nicely, and then again you can resort to use the Mysterious Ancient Book if you need to, quite easily. You can max that out, so that is also an option. But universally, again, Breath of Darkness is there at your usage if need be. So that's kind of how it's looking. Like I said, when it comes to his Greymoor, I mean, it's cool, don't get me wrong, loving the 2 buffs, but whenever I build up my RHYA, I go full on damage. I'm there for the damage, and he does get the job done, I will admit. Like, his damage output is pretty ridiculous, so he does get the job done, especially with the combination attack. So yeah, food for thought for his Greymoor. I feel like some people are going to be having fun with that, and it's great that, you know, you don't really need to rely on his Greymoor itself, although the accuracy is pretty nice to have. Again, obviously he's working off from stealing, so you want to make sure that you are stealing, not missing, Trust me, I've had that a few times, and it does piss me off. So, you know, even though I'm here for the damage, and at the same time, if I'm trying to steal buffs or whatnot, it doesn't really work out that way. So I might have to kind of redo some runs and whatnot. But for PvP, I just tend to go for the damage, because again, when it comes to team building is what I'm trying to say. I'll let you guys know when it comes to the whole nuking that RHYA and LDPlayer do in turn 1, hence why I feed more into power. But anyway, that is it. That's all I need to talk about. So like I said, I mean, look, he's basically YAMI. YAMI, but he's copying. There we go. So if your YAMI's cooked up, ready to rock and roll, then you can easily make that transfer, as aforementioned. However, the green meta will be in full effect very, very soon. The shift of teams will change. I will do a PvP run to inform you guys on why I focused more on power, because as I've mentioned with his Greymore, I do again at times give him power over his actual Greymore that I have, so I'm losing out on the remove on 2 buff as well as the increased accuracy buff. There's a reason why I'm doing that, and why I'm feeding more into power is because I'm trying to turn 1 nuke, and we'll go into that when I do the team situation for RHYA and Lich, because they're going to be done together. I'm sorry, they're going to be a combo. I'll throw in them in a single scenario, but I'm just letting you know, these boys together, they are a nuking pair, and they are going to be causing some destruction on global when they release. It's going to be beautiful. But anyway, we've got veteran farmers to look into with their builds. They are going to be done differently, because of course those are life stealing characters, so we'll see how that goes. But anyway, when it comes to the attacking side of things, that's how we're looking at Lich, which I've just done previously. Check that out. But RHYA, he's done and dusted. If you've got YAMI built up, then you're essentially ahead of the game. You're chilling if you pull RHYA. There you go.